West Ham United are a club based in East London with a loyal and passionate fan base. We play in a 60,000-seater stadium and we have a history based on tradition, an academy that have produced some of the finest footballers for both club and country, and what careers they've gone on to have. Mostly for other clubs other than West Ham, of course. Oh, and we've even won a European trophy not too long ago. Our first one in 43 years, mind you. And when you add all of that to our 3 FA Cups and a Cup Winners' Cup, it doesn't sound all too bad, does it? Well, we're actually a club in crisis on and off the pitch. Our recruitment in the last few years has been totally dire. We play football in a stadium that isn't fit for purpose, and there are currently planned protests and boycotts happening to get the current owners out of the club. So, let's cast our minds back to 2013, when Karen Brady said this on the official West Ham YouTube channel when talking about the move to the Olympic Stadium.
When I came to West Ham in January 2010 and embarked on a journey for the Olympic Stadium for West Ham, I had 2 things in mind. One, that it absolutely had to be a world-class football stadium.
Wait, hold up. Sorry, Karen. I thought you said the world-class stadium for a minute.
That's our ambition, world-class stadium with a world-class team.
Oh, you did? Well, it doesn't take a footballing genius to realise that at the moment we have neither of those things. I mean, do I really need to say much more about it? The board moved us away from our home in Upton Park, a proper football ground. It embodied exactly what a working class East London football club is all about. Centred in the heart of the community, in front of Victorian terrace housing, with local establishments like Ken's Cafe, Nathan's Pie and Mash being the staple of Hammers fans' matchday routine. But sadly, since the move to Stratford, these businesses are no longer open, as they've struggled to survive after not getting in the trade of the matchday crowd. It's just another example of working class roots being stripped away from a Premier League football club and the fans' matchday experience being taken away from them. I mean, these places have been going for well over 80 years, and just in the blink of an eye, they've become a victim of corporate greed. Upton Park was a stadium that really epitomised the phrase, the 12th man. The atmosphere, especially under the lights, could push the team to victory, despite how bad that team was on the pitch. Away teams hated playing there, and the home crowd were right on top of you. You know what? Let's hear it again. The land of the former bowling ground is now a set of multi-million-pound flats, set in a rundown area that stand out like a sore thumb. If you wasn't into football, you'd never know that by walking down Green Street these days, that there once stood one of the most iconic football grounds in English football. The board have completely stripped us of our identity, disregarded our heritage, and took away what made us what we are, West Ham United. And for that, until the day that I am no longer on this earth, David Gold, David Sullivan and Karen Brady will never ever be forgiven. Moving on now, and West Ham have moved to what is now known as the London Stadium in 2016, and what a disaster it has been. A stadium where there are 2 tiers that separate the upper and lower stands that are miles apart. The seats themselves are far too away from the pitch due to the running track around it. The whole thing is such an eyesore, and there is just no atmosphere whatsoever. I'm a season ticket holder, and I sit in row 4 of the Billy Bond stand, and still my view isn't great. I mean, row 4, you're meant to be quite close to the pitch. I don't get how you can be so close, yet so far away. The issue is that we can't make any modifications or change anything at the stadium, because we don't own it. It belongs to the council. We don't even pay for the use of our own corner flags, security, or even goal nets. The move has brought along with it modern commercialisation, meaning a change of badge. The once iconic castle from the old badge is no more, and we've opted in for a, let's say, interesting look with the word London written on it. Why? And whilst I know this isn't an issue exclusive to West Ham, the London Stadium has an issue with a lot of tourist fans and fans from other clubs wanting to come to London to watch Premier League football. And whilst I'm not anyone to say who can and can't be at a football game, but I've been at games where we've played Liverpool at home, for example, and in the row in front of me have been a group of Liverpool fans wearing Liverpool tops. I mean, I'm watching my own club at home in the home end, and sitting next to a Liverpool fan that's not even making it discreet just doesn't really sit right with me at all. I'm made to feel like an away fan in my own stadium. The likes of Leicester City in the Championship have spent over £100 million developing their training complex to ensure that their team have the best available facilities in preparation for their games. There are 14 full-size pitches, indoor pitches, private accommodation, a restaurant, and even a 9-hole golf course. West Ham, we have porter cabins. Yep, this isn't even a joke. Remember those little porter cabins you used to get in primary school? That's what we're using. There's no comparison really, is there? It's also well known within the club that when we're signing a new player, all business and paperwork is conducted at the stadium, because if they show the new player around at the training ground, they might run a mile. Player recruitment has been a massive issue for West Ham in recent years. West Ham under David Sullivan's reign have failed to sign an outright centre-forward who can score goals consistently. Whether we've signed a player that doesn't suit the system that the manager wants to play, or we've never met the demands of the selling club that they're offering, we've just never been able to get it right. It's a position that many clubs can't get right, but more so for West Ham in recent years. Sullivan has signed over 55 forwards in his time, and the majority of them have been outright flops. David Moyes did a fantastic job for us. We got to the semi-final of the Europa League in 2022, but our only striker that year was Antonio, and it was very evident that he needed a rest, and he wasn't able to do it all by himself. We were eventually knocked out by Frankfurt, which is no small feat by any means. But again, we never invested in January, and I still look back and think what we could have done if we'd gone all out for that striker who could support Antonio and get us the goals that got us over the line. A year later, we went all the way and won the Conference League, the best moment of my life as a Hammer and a day that I'll never ever forget. But our league performances were awful. We had multiple thrashings by teams, meaning that we were lurking around the relegation zone for most of that season. Our star player and academy graduate, Declan Rice, would eventually leave to join Arsenal the following season, as the club showed no sign of kicking on and building upon what we had just achieved. We end up parting ways with David Moyes a year later, and what a fantastic job he did for us. However, I did think it came at the right time. Again, our league performances massively dipped, and we received a lot of heavy defeats that season. So, who do we bring in? Oliver Glasner? Ruben Amorim? Both were available and certainly keen to come, but instead we looked to the free transfer market and we appoint Lopetegui. It was just a disaster from the get-go. The players brought in were clearly not good enough, and he ended up being sacked at Christmas. We appoint Graham Potter. Again, he had been out of work for a while. Are you noticing the pattern here? A manager that we didn't have to pay out of contract to come to us. He talked a good game, spoke about the importance of using academy players, playing the right way, but again, we were absolutely dreadful. A particular poor performance that saw us concede in the last minute at home to a very, very poor Southampton side sparked outrage from our German striker, who had this to say.
But the motivation, the engagement, so after, and I'm very angry.
Yeah, apologies for
It's a mindset problem. Very angry today, not disappointed, just angry on what we did after the goal. We have to find a way to have a togetherness, to have the idea where we want to go, what we want to do, and the coach is very clear what he wants. So
David Sullivan actually said before appointing Potter that he didn't rate him as a manager, and he felt that he was flattered by the recruitment that he had at Brighton. In what other business in life would the head of any organisation put someone in charge that they didn't think was capable? Again, it's just more incompetence at the highest level at this club. Even at the time of recording this, our last home win was in February 2025, and results and performances were somehow worse than Lopetegui under Potter. He won 6 games out of 19 in the 24-25 season, and we only survived because the 3 promoted teams that year were that bad, and I think we massively got away with one. So, we go into this summer's transfer window, and David Sullivan decides to introduce a sell-to-buy policy as he pleads poverty at the club. Despite us being the 18th wealthiest club in world football in terms of revenue, just behind Italian club Inter Milan. Very interesting. Something that I keep mentioning in this video, poor recruitment. This summer's transfer window, we signed an injury-prone Callum Wilson, and we were still relying on Fulkrug, who we didn't know when he was going to be fit because he had a really bad track record. And we still had Antonio recovering from his accident. We didn't know what was going to happen to him. All 3 of them have a combined age of 101. Laughable. Something else that is laughable was our start to this season. We go away to newly promoted Sunderland, who beat us off the park 3-0. Mads Hermansen had an absolute nightmare. And what does Karen Brady do? She goes on to TalkSport the next morning to talk about how many season tickets we've sold and how great the stadium is. The woman is just a PR nightmare. We were then smashed at home to Chelsea, knocked out of the League Cup by Wolves, and further defeats to Spurs and Palace at home meant that Potter's time at West Ham was inevitably up. We then look again to the free transfer market in Nuno Espirito Santo, another manager out of work who we don't have to pay out of contract. I feel like I'm repeating myself. It's recently been announced that West Ham have to pay up to £20 million in compensation for terminating Lopetegui and Potter's contract early, which just begs the question, why don't we just appoint a top manager that we actually want by buying them out of their current contract, rather than trying to save money by getting in a subpar manager who's out of work, who we end up having to pay off anyway because they haven't been good enough. Just shows that under the current regime, we've never had any long-term ambition or vision. Do you want to know what the last time West Ham bought a manager out of their contract was to come to us? Alan Pardew, in October 2003. Yep, 2003. So look, it's really bleak for us at the moment. We're currently 1 from bottom in the league. Our last 2 games under Nuno have shown me everything I need to know about this current team. There's no leaders in the squad whatsoever. Over the last few seasons, we've lost Mark Noble, 1 club man and captain, Declan Rice, another captain, and the likes of Craig Dawson and Aaron Cresswell, who were a core part of that dressing room and had a voice on the pitch, especially during the successful period with us under David Moyes. Now, I look around and we've got Max Kilman and John-Claire Todibo at the back, who are both championship standard. 80 mil for the pair of them. Behave. Those 2 are part of a wider problem at West Ham, as we've already conceded 9 goals from set pieces already this season, and that number is only going to get bigger. I really feel for Jarrod Bowen at the minute. He genuinely loves the club, but I just don't think he's captain material. That is in no way his fault, and that is no slander towards him, as he's probably the only one that can get us out of this mess with his ability alone. But he isn't a leader and a vocal person on the pitch, and you can see that by his performances so far this season. Fans are currently boycotting games in hope that it will send a message to the board of discontent. Look, I support anyone that boycotts, as I also stand by that message. But the club have already got your season ticket money, so boycotting will just mean that you will miss out. There will be less people in the stadium, and if you do resell your ticket, there'll be someone there ready to buy it from you, and they'll be in your place anyway. With the boycotts and protests, there's a massive narrative amongst West Ham fans at the moment that if you don't protest, and if you do go to games, that you are part of the problem. Look, I believe in pro-choice, and whether you agree with another fan or not, your right to protest is the same as their right to attend a game. I was there the other night against Bournemouth, and the place was like a graveyard. Empty seats everywhere, and it was massively picked up on the Sky Sports commentary. But I just think, no matter of your opinion on the players, whether they're good enough or not, and I think it's the latter, I don't think they are good enough, they really, really need our support. And it was Nuno's first game, and I just thought, come on, we need to be united at this moment in time. It's in our name, West Ham United, and at the moment, we are West Ham divided. And it actually plays in the owner's hands. Just like politics, if the people are fighting amongst themselves, it takes a spotlight off of those at the top. A lot of the uproar comes from the fact that the board have completely alienated a whole generation of West Ham fans. At the start of this season, we had a record number of fans who didn't renew their season ticket as they feel the club that they grew up with isn't theirs anymore and they can't identify with it. These are fans that grew up on the terraces of Upton Park, mind you, and whilst we accept that in modern football, you have to move on, you have to do it in the right way also. Look at Everton's move to the Hill Dickinson and, dare I say it, Tottenham Stadium move as well. The stadiums are still kept within the heart of their community with purpose-built football grounds close to the pitch. In my opinion, I do think it's time for someone else to come in who wants to take us forward. But from the outside looking in, why would any owner want to do that? So, where do we go from here? On the pitch, football has been awful. The stadium is awful. And the general feeling amongst the fans is that we're heading into English football's second tier. I can't say that I disagree with that, to be honest. I don't think we've got anything about us to stay up, unfortunately. The only tiny glimmer of hope is that we're only 9 games into the season and there is time to turn it around. To be honest, I've only really scratched the surface with the antics that our board have done over the past 15 years of their tenure. So, if you like what we're doing, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll do a part 2 to this video as there is so much more to talk about. Nuno, you've really got work to do. Come on, you Irons.